Whether you dream of a quiet retreat from urban life, a chic designer space, or the perfect spot to entertain your friends, join me as I show you how to create your dream city garden. But you don't need a king's ransom to transform your urban space.
Oh yeah!
I'm here to show you what I think is an inspired little city garden, an oasis of calm amid the frenetic bustle of city life.
This is a city garden that anyone could build. It has a secluded seating area and a place for entertaining. It has tall, elegant trees and rows of easy-to-maintain plants grown for year-round colour and scent. It even has a very productive fruit and veg patch. This garden's been created by Emma Plunket to complement her busy city life. It's practical, manageable and inspiring, and all in a plot that's just 20 metres long.
Creating a garden like this might seem daunting, but I'm going to show you that it's really quite straightforward.
So how do you fit so much into a 20-metre city garden without it looking cramped? Well, let's take a sneaky peek at the neighbour's garden. It's actually the same size, and yet it seems a lot smaller.
By not having a lawn, and instead having a central path and wide borders on either side, Emma has actually made her garden look bigger rather than smaller, and she's divided it up, which again gives an illusion of space. Here, a beech hedge on either side. This one has got a bit of copper beech in it, just for a bit of variety. People are very afraid of trees and tall things in small gardens, and rightly so, but it doesn't mean you can't have one. Just be a little bit more considered. Here we've got another division, a row of photinias. This is actually a large shrub, but they're grown on single stems. They allow you to see through them at the bottom, but they're giving height to the garden and interest way up there, except that one of them's died. I think we ought to replace that one.
Photinias have an only moderately vigorous root system and won't grow too big for the space, making them ideal for small gardens, but it's important to plant them properly.
Now, you see, you're ready. Look at this. Now, there you are. All those roots that were in the tight root ball haven't come out, which is why nowadays we tend to tease roots out. Otherwise, they just don't venture out, and in the end, the thing just starves to death.
This is how it should be done. First, give the new tree a generous soaking in its pot. Then, tease out the roots with a garden fork.
I'm going right the way around the pot doing this, just turning it every now and again so that the roots are coming outwards. They've got somewhere else to go rather than round and round in the circle and in. Check then the depth of this root ball compared with the depth of the hole. It's coming to there. That's almost bang on, because if you plant too deeply, trees and shrubs tend not to like it. They'll have to be at the same depth. I've got here some enrichment, peat-free. There is no excuse or need to use pure peat in the garden. In you go. There we are. Now you'll notice this hole isn't that much bigger than the root ball. There's enough to get the roots to come out, but not too much that it wobbles a lot. So I'm mixing now a bit more of this enrichment with the soil I took out. And the combination of the teasing and the soil improvement here will coax those roots outwards, and hopefully it will do better than its predecessor. It does need to be firm. If this were being planted on its own, I would put a more decent stake with it, but it's very sheltered here. I'm going to do what was done before and just tie it to its neighbours, which are better rooted. And a good watering in, and you'll never know there was a dead one here before.
When Emma Plunket bought this garden in 2006, it was a derelict wasteland. In just 5 years, she transformed it almost entirely herself, only hiring a builder to put in the brickwork.
So how important is it to you, having this, living in the middle of a city?
It's everything. I wouldn't be in London without a garden, and specifically, this space. I can't imagine us, living anywhere else.
So what do you get out of it?
Oh, a reason to get up in the morning, some of the best moments of the day, here, looking at the garden.
And Emma's favourite place can be found at the heart of her plot.
You could be forgiven for thinking that it was all work in a garden, but you do need to sit down now and again and enjoy what you've created in a little sheltered oasis like this one, on a bench that Emma's got against a west-facing wall so you get the evening sun, and that sends up the scents from things like these delicious pinks, petunias with their big blousy flowers, and tobacco plants that are renowned for giving off their scent of an evening rather than during the day. Over here, sage, whose leaves you can brush past to release their savoury aroma. And I'm just adding to these pinks this, which is a scented leafed pelargonium. Brush those leaves, and this smells of Turkish delight. It's called attar of roses. Well, you've got to use your imagination a bit, but it's absolutely gorgeous. And I reckon that right by this bench, you'll get great pleasure when you're sitting down with your evening gin and tonic.
The key to Emma Plunket's beautiful and practical city garden in London is that she makes the maximum use of her space.
It's a luxury and a privilege to have outdoor space in a city like London. And I think, you need to share it and make it work hard.
In Emma Plunket's garden, you'll also find clever ways to disguise the practical areas. This may look like an elegant raised flower bed, but it's actually a fully working fruit and veg patch.
The problem with fruit and veg in a small garden is that sometimes they don't look terribly pretty. But Emma's got rather a neat trick here. This is a raised bed at the end of her garden with a short brick wall at the front, and she's put her fruit and veg very decoratively in here. We've got pots with beetroot and carrots. These long toms allow those carrot roots to go right down there. 2 obelisks to give a bit of height and interest. There are tomatoes at the foot of one and runner beans at the foot of another. And lettuces, the coloured leaf varieties. And snaking among them all, this hose here, which when you plug it into the tap, will gently ooze water. Fruit and veg hate going short of moisture. This makes sure they get it without you having to be a slave to the can.
Next to Emma Plunket's fruit and veg patch, you'll find, like in so many gardens, a humble shed. In a city garden, the shed is often on show, but you can make it a feature rather than an eyesore.
Oh, this is Emma's shed. It's actually quite a pleasant colour. I think I'll just brighten it up with something exciting on the roof. It's called a green roof. Now, you've got this sort of plastic egg box effect underneath, felt on the top, and then very gritty compost on top of that. And they just go in there like that, so they're anchored together. And now I'm ready for my greens. I'll just overhang the front slightly and unroll my green roof. These are varieties of sedum, ice plant, a hardy succulent that can cope with the worse our weather throws at it and which doesn't need much in the way of sustenance. This will be fine for it. What it does need is light, a little bit of shade high up here, but I think enough sunlight to keep it going because that's south.
I'm using a mostly green variety, but you can buy a range of colours from vibrant reds to purples and autumnal brown. Most kits will cost you around £25 a metre from a good garden centre.
Got an audience. Not quite as good as fitted carpet, but a lot more ecologically sound. I rather like that.
Almost all of us have a shed, and this is a great way to cover up that rather boring felt roof. Sedum is weather tolerant and reduces water runoff. Let's see what Emma thinks.
What do you think of this modest amount of magic?
Amazing what you've done. Even better than I imagined.
Bit of green roof. It does look good, doesn't it?
It's fantastic. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's lovely coming to a little garden like this, which isn't big, but crams in so many ideas that anybody else could take just of a weekend and do in their own garden. So thank you. Hopefully you've been inspired by Emma's inventive features. Here's what you need this weekend to start your own Dream City garden. Emma's garden shows that even in a small city space you can have trees. These elegant photinias work as a divider but won't tower over the rest of the garden. A berry-bearing alternative is this cotoneaster, which will only grow 2 metres high. If you really want to splash out, go for this hornbeam. It can be trimmed into a perfect square or cube. Put 3 of them together and you have a dramatic floating hedge. Emma's fruit and veg patch has been cleverly designed to fit in with the rest of her garden. But if you don't have the room to build one, these freestanding veg planters can be placed anywhere. But for a glamorous way to grow veg, try this living larder set. All you have to do is add soil and plants. They've even handily told you what to grow. And finally, don't forget that the shed is often on show in a small garden, so buy one that won't embarrass you. This inexpensive sentry box will fit in the tiniest of spaces. Or you could splash out on this Gothic design. With its detailed fascia boards, it's a feature in its own right. For more information on tips and products featured on the show, go to itv.com/loveyourgarden. So there you have it, the perfect excuse to love your garden. See you next time. Bye-bye.